Welcome to Flat Ride of the Week, episode 17. Today we'll be talking about the Move It rides from KMG as well as their competition. As always, if we forget something or say something that's incorrect, please politely correct us in the comment section below. Let's get started. Alright, now let's get started with the history.
The first ever Move It type of ride debuted in 1994 and it was named Spinball. It was built in-house by Dutch showman Van der Beek with the help of the founder of KMG. He helped designing and building the Spinball. The ride consisted of some kind of disc that could hold 24 people. The disc could spin in both directions and was connected to a horizontal arm that rotates, so the riders would flip upside down. The arm was connected to two C-shaped supports that could lift down to allow easy loading in and out of the passengers. Also, the whole structure could spin around, so this ride had 3 rotations. First traveled for 3 years on the Dutch fair circuit with Van der Beek, and from 1998 until 2018 it traveled in France. The ride is currently in storage. And in 1995, KMG announced the Move It 32, which was inspired by the Spinball. It's basically the same concept but bigger and more impressive. Instead of the spinning disc Spinball has, the Move It 32 has some kind of claw that with 8 floorless gondolas that each hold 4 people, making a capacity of 32 people per ride. This is where the 32 in the model name comes from. The Move It prototype debuted in 1996 and is currently the only one built.
Now, Alex actually has done a full-length video on the history of this specific Move It 32, obviously the only one in existence. You can find that on his channel. There's a link to it in the description, as well as a link in the upper right-hand corner of your screen.
And a bit later in 1996, KMG introduced a smaller version of the Move It 18. This ride has 6 gondolas that each hold 3 people. There are 3 gondolas next to each other at 2 sides of the claw, so the capacity is 18 riders per cycle. The arm that holds the claw is connected to 1 support, unlike the Move It 32 which has 2 supports. About 6 of them were built, and the production of it stopped around 1999 when they introduced the Move It 24. The Move It 24 was some kind of more developed version of the Move It 18. Instead of the hydraulic motors the previous Move Its had, this ride used all electric motors, which were easier to maintain. The ride used the same kind of claw used on the Afterburner 24. When the arm is tilted up, the claw is angled, unlike the Move It 18 and 32, where the claw is horizontal when tilted up.
The Move It 24 is probably the most popular Move It model ever, thanks to English manufacturer Tivoli Enterprises, which built a lot of Move It 24s for America and the UK under the model name Spinout. Not much of a difference between this and the KMG model. The Tivoli manufactured Move It 24s, and aka the Spinouts, just have a smaller floor. That's really the only notable difference.
And the Move It 24s are still in production by KMG. I'm not sure about Tivoli because I really can't find much about that on the internet. But in 2018, KMG announced a second generation of the Move It 32, which would be lighter in weight and easier to set up. All hydraulic motors are also replaced with electric motors, so the ride would use less power. The production of the new gen Move It 32 would start in 2020, but currently there has not been one bought yet.
And then moving on to the competition.
A lot of European manufacturers made rides similar to the original Spinball. For example, the Italian manufacturer Top Fun, known for making the infamous Rainy Rush, made their own version of the Spinball in around 1997. It could fit 34 people, and about 4 of them were built.
English manufacturer ARM also made their own version of the Spinball, but it had some differences. For example, the whole structure doesn't rotate, so essentially the ride only has 2 points of rotation. The first one ARM built was built in 1995. It was called Stargate. It can fit 32 people and actually has stand-up seats. The second one they built was in 1996, and it was called Megaspin, and it only has the normal sit-down seats that you would expect.
And when KMG introduced the Move It 32 in 1995, Italian manufacturers Soriani and Moser immediately made their own version of it, called the Top Star Tour. It is very similar to the Move It 32, but it has 2 gondolas more, which makes a capacity of 40 riders per cycle. It also doesn't use hydraulic motors, which makes it a lot easier to maintain and probably cheaper to build. The first Topstar tour actually ended up debuting on the fairs in Germany before KMG's Move It 32 debuted. The first Topstar tour is called Transformer and is still traveling on the German fair circuit. They made some smaller models of the Topstar tour, but I couldn't find much info about those. On Moser Ride's website, they advertise a ride called the Space Trainer, which is basically a Topstar tour but with outside facing seats. And Moser Rides also knocked off KMG's Move It 2024. They call it the Star Discovery. It's basically the same concept as the Move It 24, but the claw can lift up higher until it's almost vertical, as you can see in this footage. Only 2 of these have been sold yet, in both park and transportable version.
Right, now on to some other facts.
In 2018, when the Move It 32 was at a fair in Genk, Belgium, the supports of the ride lowered when the ride was in operation, causing a gondola to hit the floor.
Luckily, there were no injuries. The ride got sent back to KMG and got completely refurbished with a new system to lower the supports, a new system for the restraints, and a brand new control panel. The ride started touring again about 1 year after this incident happened. Alright, and I think that is all we have for this episode of Flat Ride of the Week. Alex, the famous question. Do you have anything else to add?
Yes, if you see any Move It type of ride, just ride it, because they may look a little bit tame, but they are everything but tame. They are very intense, and they're just about the perfect amount of intensity. Not too intense, but not really tame too. So it's really enjoyable and intense at the same time. I really love it. I've only been on a Move It 32 personally, and it was amazing. It's a really nice experience.
Would you say would you say they're nauseating at all?
I wouldn't say it, but I never really got sick on rides, so I really don't know.
I always thought they looked a little nauseating, but I feel like our conclusion is always, if you see this ride, ride it. But yeah, it's pretty true. These rides are very interesting, and if you happen to see one in the US, they're quite rare, and it's probably not a KMG, but still, ride it. You might as well. It's kind of a rare flat ride credit over here. Not so rare over in Europe, although the Move It 32 certainly is. So yeah,
yes.
I think that about concludes this episode of Flat Ride of the Week, and we'll see you all next week.